You're listening to The Young, where young people have real conversation on how to live a life worth living.
Hey guys, what's up? And welcome to the Young Podcast. My name is Nicole, and today I'm joined here with Destiny, M. Sauce, Nate Torres, and A.A. Ron, aka Aaron Arevalos. So today is podcast number uno, dos, tres, and that's bilingual. See that?
Oh, wow.
We stand bilingual.
Put that on
Yes,
resume.
bilingual. Hey, well, before we start this podcast, we thought we'd do something a little fun and light before we get into the deeper things, I guess. But what we're going to do is this thing called, I forgot what it's called.
Shuffle up.
Live on Shuffle.
Live on
That's what it is.
Shuffle.
So basically what we're going to do is we all have our cell phones out in front of us.
Now I can
And what we're going to do is we're just going to go on our playlist and we're going to hit that shuffle button on top, okay? And then whatever song comes on, that is the song you have to show us. Got it?
Yep.
So let's just start with Aaron.
Okay.
I just honestly think that's a great person to start with.
Okay.
Here we go.
But it's gotta be like.
the song.
Can
Just,
I
I mean-
have all my stuff in playlists.
All right,
Just
just
pick
so-
that playlist.
pick one
Okay.
playlist,
All right,
hit
ready?
shuffle, and here we go.
Stop.
Here
Okay.
we go.
Alright. The
You
first
it?
song that came up was "Get Right to It," "Stay Down," Caleb Mitchell.
Huh? So
Play
good.
it.
Oh,
No,
okay.
no,
Okay, okay.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
Aaron. I meant me.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, let's do a
Shuffle. Here we
shuffle.
go. 3, 2, 1. All right. Song that came up. What You Say by Paris Curtis.
I've never heard of any of these songs.
That's sad.
I'm like, okay.
Who?
Mine is
All right, here we go.
We Want Revival Now by the Kona Prayer Room.
Of course. Yeah, we're the leader.
Good.
How to
good.
do one of those?
Mine is Speechless by Dan and Shay at Country All the Way. So that's that. All right, are y'all ready for this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited to do this. We're going to be talking about the hEaRt Part 2. So we had Part 1, which was last week's, and this week is obviously Part 2. But today we are going to tackle this conversation on Christian relationships.
Ooh.
Okay, so I'm really pumped about this. We're going to be talking about dating.
So much experience. No, I'm just kidding.
Dating. We're going to also be talking about just friendships, honestly. Friendships, how you navigate through friendships throughout your young life, I guess. And really anything in between those two things. But I really want to hit this because I feel like it's so important, dating, right? I really contemplated on should I do this or should I not? And it took me about a second to say yes. But let's talk about this. Okay, so we're all young in here. Yes, we are all young. And I don't know really everyone's experience around this thing of dating, but here's what I do know, okay? We've got a culture, we all grew up in this day and age, we've got a culture that tells us a way on how to live life, right? So if you live under a rock, you've never heard of Netflix. But I mean, if you just scroll on Netflix and you click on whatever movie, they're showing you, hey, this is how the dating life looks like, right? They're showing you just, hop around, try different things out, get experience, put it under your belt. And really what I want to tackle today is how do we, as young people who want to follow Jesus, how do we navigate that road of dating? And I want to ask you, how do you guys navigate that road of dating? You all graduated high school. So maybe even talk a little bit about how you did that in high school and how you're doing that now.
It's
Not everybody all at once.
Yeah.
I'm not going first.
Oh, man.
All right.
A.A. Ron,
Yes.
yeah.
So, okay.
What
Just to
did
clarify, like,
Okay.
what's the point? we're
The
getting
question,
at?
I want to know how you navigated through this in high school and how you're
Okay.
doing it now. If it looks the same,
Yeah.
or if it's like, oh, in high school I did whatever the heck I wanted,
Yeah.
but now that I'm following Jesus, this is how
Yeah.
how I do it.
Most stuff. So for me, in high school, I wasn't too wild with all right, let me try and get with this person.
Yeah.
Let me try and get with this person. Let me try and get with this person. I wasn't too wild with that. I genuinely I wanted someone that I can be consistent with. You know what I mean? To have
Yeah.
a solid relationship with.
Right. Yeah.
And so for me in high school, that's what I did do. I did end up dating someone fairly consistently for a good while. I had dated this person, and right off the bat, I want to say dating is not wrong.
Good. Yeah.
Dating's like, let's just blow that out of the water right now.
Yeah.
Dating,
So good.
dating ain't a sin, all right?
Right,
Dating's
right.
not wrong,
Yeah.
right? But where you are in your life should give you an idea
Yeah.
whether it's for you right now or not.
That's good.
And for me, like in hindsight, looking at from looking at where I am now, I was not prepared for a relationship. I wasn't prepared for the things that it takes to have an established and to grow a good relationship.
Yeah.
Right? To grow a good relationship. So for me, it was a really big learning process.
Yeah.
What is it like? What it was like learning somebody else's life, making decisions in my life so that their life could be better.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like there was a lot of that I just wasn't prepared for.
Yeah.
And of course through that there's gonna be like mistakes and there's gonna be things that leave both people, hurt in some kind of way.
Right.
And so that's why I think it's also super important. Like you have to keep in mind that like when you enter a relationship, when you enter like a dating process, it's not just a one and done thing. There's something you always take away from that.
Got it.
Anytime you connect with another person, you make the decision to come in some kind of agreement with someone, there's going to be something that's taken away from both sides.
Right.
Always going to be taken away from both sides. So, I would say I didn't have like a horrible relationship, right? But I took away some things where I realized this is bigger than what I thought it was. This is a bigger, ball field than I perceived.
Yeah. And so tell me, how has that changed now that you graduated, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
How does that look? How does your life now look? It's different from when it was when you were in high school.
Yeah.
Like, has your like thoughts changed? Have you just been like, it's whatever, or are you like, God, what are you saying to me? And how do I apply that to my life? How does that look?
Just like you're talking about right there, like it's really less of something I'm looking for and something I know God will bring along.
That's good. So good. That's good.
It's not something I'm searching for.
Yeah.
It's not something that I'm keeping my eye out for. You know what I mean? It's like, in high school and as young people, it's so easy to keep your like radar on.
Yeah.
Like it's so easy to be like, look for prospects almost like, ooh, I wonder if they could like, we could have like chemistry or work this out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's less of that, you know what I mean? I've had time to grow since that. Thank God I've had time to grow and have people pour into my life. And it's now something I'm not looking for, but something I'm waiting for.
So good.
For someone to bring along the line. Because we talked about it in the last podcast, God is so good. And He knows our lives and He created the universe and He created us as beings. So why would I be afraid, you know what I mean, that God won't bring something along the line that I know He created me for.
That's so good. That's
what I mean? So He's good and He has plans to prosper us, give us a future, and for us to live good lives. So, and it takes stress off too.
That's good.
It takes so much stress off because I'm like, I don't gotta be like in a relationship, like working something out by a certain type of age.
I'm trusting God.
Completely putting my trust in God and knowing that He's bringing it around. And it's good too because now I'm in a place where I can openly learn about relationships, not being in one. Because it's tough to learn about something that you're already in. Right? It's tough to learn, like, let's say you're in a relationship right now and you're barely learning what a good relationship looks like, right? Now I'm in a healthy place in my life where I am single, but I'm surrounded by good community and mentors to teach me what that looks like. So when the time comes, you know what I mean? There's less bumps, there's less stumbles, you know what I mean? So honestly, it's a really good place that I'm in my life, and I thank God for it, you know what I mean?
That's good. I do want to ask this too. So I keep mentioning culture because I feel like culture is such a big thing that gets really thrown at us, especially if you're on social media, if you're watching TV, even if you're reading books. Quite honestly, there's a lot of books that talk about all these things. How do you navigate? You're young adults now. How do you navigate not wanting to be in a relationship, even though you want to be in a relationship, but not just jumping in because you're like for instance, how do you not just get into a relationship because somebody thinks you're cute? Or how do you navigate through that? Because I feel like sometimes it's easy for us to say, well, my best friend's dating this person and this person's dating this person. And I always call this the embers, like November, December coming up. So like I've got to find like my cuddle boo, right? Like how do you navigate those seasons of, it doesn't matter if everybody else is dating. If God is saying like, hey, not yet, I'm going to listen. Like how do you navigate through
First
that?
of all, that's a thing.
Embers?
Yeah,
Like-
the ember.
Really?
Hello,
I heard it
Disneyland
recently.
and the Embers?
So okay, that's good because I didn't know that. Like now,
September.
that's good to know. Like
Yeah. October doesn't have one, but then November and December. But here's the thing, it's all about the holidays,
yeah.
That's
right? So
very
you got
true.
you've got
Hallmark. Oh my god.
Yes.
It's a big vibe.
It's all about
right, and then
figures.
it's cuddle season.
That's true.
That literally like
It's also true.
how do you not like
How do you not fall into that?
yeah.
I will answer that.
Yes.
Yeah, you got this.
Okay, so this kind of like goes into like how I navigated in high school too. I think knowing my value and just like my purpose, I knew as a freshman I was not going to be in a relationship. I'm 12 years old.
Kudos.
Like
I
she
know,
said at
like,
12,
dang.
not for me.
No.
Married life, not there yet.
She got that vision.
And
bitch.
even in
For real.
high school, like you don't know where you're gonna be in 4 years. You don't even like if you're a senior. This
Yeah.
always happens. You find your senior boo, and then you go to college in a different
thing I was
state. then you get with your senior boo, and then you go to college in a different state, and then you break up, and it's like so sad. But that
That's
happens
facts.
like all the time.
Yeah.
Like, and so I just knew, okay, like these years in high school, I was just like not gonna mess around.
So
And that
good.
doesn't mean like, oh my gosh, homecoming and prom would come around and I'm like, God, please. I'm like, someone ask me to this dance. And I'm actually so glad I never was asked to a dance because like Erin said, like when you're in a relationship or even when you're like close to someone, it's a give and take. And so I, throughout my high school years, decided to just save like everything I am, save my time,
So
and
good.
save myself from heartbreak and just like being
Atta
anxious
girl.
and nervous. And so that was just the way I navigated.
Yeah.
I just
That's
knew
so
my
good.
purpose. I knew my worth. Now I'm a little older. I'm like, okay, God.
I'm
No, I'm
good.
totally
She said,
kidding.
"I'm going to too."
How the
I'm-
tables have turned.
I'm kidding. But no, seriously, when you know who you are and when
Yeah.
you just know like your value,
Come
you're
on.
not gonna be looking for someone.
Yeah.
Like
So good.
like Erin said, that person's gonna come alongside
Yeah.
and you'll know it's God. I just that's like something I'm so strongly like for is like
Sure.
you know when something's God and you know when something is not.
Yeah.
And that's just how I navigated.
That's
I
so
was like,
So good.
And I really love what you said, but let me piggyback off what Erin said that dating, we're not saying dating is bad.
yeah.
Right? So if you're in here and you're listening like, oh my gosh, these people are weird, we're not communicating like, oh my gosh, don't date. I think what we're just saying in this season, in these
Mhm.
moments of our lives, like, I'm not going to be single forever,
Thank you.
right? I know.
Yeah.
Jesus, right? No, but in high school and in the next few years after high school, I really want to focus on God. What are you saying? But I love this. You said you knew who you were.
Mhm.
You valued yourself. I want you to continue on this because I feel like we're girls. You guys aren't. No, but
Alright.
we're girls.
Yep.
Sometimes I feel like a lot of the times we go through. It's because we're such dorks. We go through things where it's like we are dating to get value,
Mhm.
or we're dating so that someone can tell us, "Hey, I love you,"
Mhm.
or so that someone can say, "Hey, you're beautiful." Tell me, like, when that moment for you was when you were like, "I know who I am."
Okay.
Like, I want to know,
I
like,
think. I'm just
yeah, you're someone who is listening. Like, I want to know how you got to this place of like, I trust God enough, but I also know that I'm His daughter and I'm valued by Him, and I don't need another human opinion to tell me you are valuable.
Before we I continue, I just want to say like Nicole said, everyone's story is different. My
Right.
mentor met her boo in high school, got married at 19, and like
Facts.
they're happily married right now.
Yeah.
They're having twins
Oh, hello.
next year. Like,
That's
come on,
crazy.
Jesus. Like,
Wait.
so everyone's story
Exactly.
is different.
I love
Oh, yeah,
that.
yeah.
Which
And
is true.
so for me, like I just knew, like in high school, just focus on God, focus. And I was able to do Jesus Club for 5 years, be able to reach so many people, like, and that's just that was my choice. And
Yeah.
then along with what you asked, so are you saying how I like
Like-
when I knew?
Yeah, like how? Okay, so you're talking. For instance, I feel like I didn't know my value until I was like 18.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I got, like, when I was in high school, I made some dumb decisions. Y'all know the story, right? And I'll briefly share it of, like, I was insecure my freshman year. Actually, like, I feel like all of high school, I felt I was insecure. But my freshman year, me and my best friend, through my highly big encouragement-ness, it's not a word, but I was like, hey, Chels, let's take woodshop, right? And the reason why I wanted to take woodshop because I was like, bro, like we're gonna be the only girls. It's like a genius idea. But that one shows my insecurity of how I needed a guy to affirm me.
Mm-hmm.
But worst part was I get into woodshop and I see this dude who's a year older than me. He's a sophomore, and I'm like, Jesus has got to be the one, right? And I'm not even like I don't even love church. I'm just like I'm over here like praying to God. I'm like I haven't even committed my life to him at this moment yet, I feel like. But then I'm in woodshop and this dude comes up to me and he's like, hey, do you need help building your clock? I was like, bro, yes. But then again, that's insecurity again speaking out, right? I'm like, hello. And here's the worst part. This whole time, for the whole like next year, I am giving my time to this dude. I'm giving my money to this dude. He still, to this day, owes me, if you're watching this, over $250 because he would ask me, hey, you got $10 I could borrow? And I'm like, oh yeah. And I kid you not, I showed my friend like his DMs towards me or his Facebook messages towards me, and he would say, hey cutie, you got $15. And just because he put hey cutie, I was like, oh my gosh, he thinks I'm so cute.
Man, I'm gonna message you hey cutie. I need some gas money.
No, but here's the reality. I'm
I'm
sharing the story because that was me. I was thirsty. I wanted affirmation. I wanted love. And all this was going on, and he had a girlfriend. And I didn't know about it. So here I am thinking this dude likes me. Thinking this guy, and you said it, not everybody's story looks the same, but can I tell you, everybody might be thirsty the same way.
Yeah.
Everybody might want that, everybody has that craving of, ooh, I want that, ooh, he called me cute. And now we're going for that, but in reality, like, I want to know, and I want you maybe to speak into students like me, when I was a freshman, like, how did you know? Like, where was that moment of like, man, I am valued by God, and that's really all that matters.
It was definitely going into my freshman year. So I have 2 older siblings that I learned a lot of what not to do.
Okay.
So just by example, by them, I just knew, okay, don't do this, don't do this, be smart. And so I just knew that, like I said, there was something for me that God wanted me to do, and that's what I was running after.
Yeah.
But that didn't mean I didn't want attention, or I didn't want someone to like take me to college. Like I said earlier, I wanted someone to ask me to prom or something. And I remember, this is so embarrassing, my junior year, I had moved schools my sophomore year. So my junior year comes, it's the first day of school, and I'm walking and I'm like, I know that kid. I'm like, oh my gosh, I know that kid from somewhere. And his name was, let's call him Maverick.
Kid.
Let's call him Maverick. And he went to my junior high when I was younger, and I remember being like, oh my gosh, obviously this is from God. It's been 4 years. Like, this is my husband. So you know what I did? I changed my schedule to have a class with him. And it's so embarrassing. But I was so longing for someone to give me attention and for someone to value me. Even though I didn't speak to him the whole like time he was at the school. Just the fact that I changed the schedule. Like, I was chasing after the things of God, but inside of me, I was like, okay, I still want someone to love me. I still want someone to show me affection. And I want to be like, have the embers, like go do Christmas walking or whatever it is.
The lights and everything.
But what stopped me from actually pursuing anything was me going back to the place, okay, it's not my time. It's not my season. It is not time for me to get into a relationship. And that's like ultimately it for me. Like I said earlier, everyone's story is different. Maybe you know your high school sweetheart now. Maybe you'll meet them in 2 years. But for me, I just knew without a shadow of a doubt that right now, this is my time to just pour into myself, to receive from God and just become who He's made me to be, so that when that person comes, I'm able to be like, this is what I've done. I've just followed God. Like, now let's do the things God has for us together. Like,
so good.
You know, I love this too. I think maybe one of the biggest things, one, just having the revelation that I'm a child of God, right? Like, God, when I got that, like, God, you love me for me, and I'm loved just because I'm your child, like, that blew my mind. When I realized, like, I don't gotta work for love, like, love actually came from me, right? And knowing that there's freedom in Jesus, and there's hope in Jesus, and there's love in Jesus, that's really what broke my insecurity and my, like, my longing for give me love and attention and affirmation. But I want to ask this because I think it's so important. You guys are, I'm seeing a few like good community friends. You guys are all in a great community and a great friend group.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me a little bit about how you guys go to the Rock, planted here.
Yeah.
Talk to me about how that has helped. Like, because I think sometimes we miss the opportunity of like, we don't just do this on our own.
Yeah.
Right? Like we actually love going to church. Right? And it's not this weird thing like, oh, y'all go to church. No, church is an amazing place to be at.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's awesome. But y'all have this amazing community of where you're not doing life alone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? So where you're able to talk to your mentors like you had mentioned. Or maybe you and Aaron and Nate are able to keep each other accountable. Share a little bit as we conclude the importance of like how community and how being planted at a church and how just following Jesus has kind of helped you navigate through this season of self, like I want it right now.
Yeah, definitely. I remember just comparing and contrasting when I was in high school.
Yeah.
You know, I was not like Destiny. I was like, I'm gonna get booed up. I want all these things like you're saying right now. And then I had friends surrounding me that had the same thoughts.
Yeah.
You know? So when I wasn't thinking that and I thought, well, maybe I might want to know my worth. Maybe I want to pursue something different. Then I go to my friends. I wouldn't say that, but just having that in mind. And then they would stir up that talk with, hey, bro, so I was with my girl last night. And then I was like, I want a girl. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And really just being involved with that type of culture is going to also dictate the way that you have different views about things. So so I remember just having that mentality when it came to relationships. So being like, seeing my parents like, oh, seeing movies like, oh, right?
Yeah.
Whatever. My friends are all talking about this thing called love. What is it? I want to know what this is. I want this feeling, right?
Yeah.
So I go in chasing feelings, right? And then what happens is like, I would like treat love or intimacy like it's an item and then like itemize it. And when I make transactions, I'd end up broke, you know?
Wow.
And so I would be like, oh man, I'm hurting now. I'm lost now. I don't know what's going on. And going back to that group of friends where they're still having that same talk, which is toxic for me.
Yeah.
But now, flipping it, having encountered Jesus, being anchored in His love, knowing my worth, just like Destiny was talking about, it's awesome. It's so different because the culture I'm in now, the way that people talk, like Aaron was talking about, now when I go around my friends, they're talking about, man, what have I been learning in my singleness lately? And I'm just like, well, what have I been learning in my singleness lately? Like, shoot. You know?
That's good.
It makes you think about things differently. How about, like, me and Aaron keeping each other accountable? That's like, good. It's awesome because sometimes I'll be like, man, I'm single. But he'll be like, hey, man, like, how are you doing? And just somebody to grab you just, like, just hold you and be like, yo, man, how are you doing for real?
Right.
Because I think a lot of times that's what you want in a relationship. Yeah. It's just somebody that you can just be completely open with. But being able to have just a friend that you can do that with, and even a group of people to be open with and say, this is how I'm doing, this is how I'm hurting, and this is how I want to be healed.
I love that.
It's just amazing.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, being plugged in with the Rock, having mentors. Because it's one thing to have people on the same level as you, what you're going through, but to have somebody who's made it where you want to be and help you navigate to get there, it's just something that I think just helped me grow as a person so much.
I love it. I love how you mentioned friend group. Okay, and so we also said this podcast would touch on friends. I wanted to touch on that before we end. So I think it's so important to have people in your life that you can have conversation with. Right, where you can say, hey, this is how I feel right now, and can you pray for me, right? Or even today, Destiny and I, we did Devos at Starbucks together, and just like being able to have that person to say, hey, what did you get, right? Or what did I get? Or just even that the moment of fellowship of, oh, I know I can call you if we can do this. I think it's so important. Talk to me as we wrap up a little bit about maybe individually kind of just share for about a minute why it's so important to have a community of people who are like-minded like you, right? And they're walking this walk with you. Talk to me about the importance of that.
Yeah.
From your perspective.
I would just say, like, it's so important, you know, to have a good friend group around you.
Yeah.
Because even in the beginning, like, of the world, like, in the scriptures, God talks about man. It's not good for man to be alone. I believe that for, like, you know, relationship between, like, a man and a woman, it's not good for them to be alone. But I also believe that for, like, friendships. It's not good for people to be alone. Because you can have a certain mindset, right? You can have something in the forefront of your mind that you desire, that you want to see happen. But if your environment contradicts that, that'll never happen. If what you're surrounded with is contradicting what you believe and what you see and what you want to see happen, it won't ever happen, right? Because it's such a thrown out concept. You know, you are who you hang around, right? So if you're surrounded by, you know, like-minded people, like Nicole, like you said, if you're surrounded by people who have the same interests, like who have the same like well-being for you in mind, the same like visions and desires, and want to see the same thing happen. Like if you're surrounding yourself with that, you're already setting yourself up for productivity and for success. You know what I mean? So it's not good for people to be alone. It's good to surround yourself with good like-minded people.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah, definitely. I think. I mean, my parents always say this thing where it's like, "Oh, show me your friends, and I can tell you where you'll end up." You know, but I think what's really important about that is who's speaking into your life.
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
so good.
all words have power.
Yeah.
You know, that's like how wars are started. That's how peace is made as well.
Yeah.
But I think the words that you're surrounding yourself with is the most important thing. Aaron just like hit so many good gems about that. Just about being, you know, surrounded by people. And the best part about that is you don't have to hide anything.
Yeah.
You know, a lot like it just made me think of somebody who gets stuck and then by like an enemy and they're like, I'm surrounded, you know. But how good would it feel that when you're feeling stuck and to be I'm surrounded but by people who are gonna shine a light and help me.
Yeah. That's so good.
Not shine a light and attack me.
That's good. Yeah, that's really good.
That's really good.
Destiny.
They just close it out now.
She said, and let's pray.
No, I definitely agree with both of them. Like my parents said too, like show me your 5 friends and I'll show you like who you are. Like you are who you surround yourself with, and like they said too, life and death like is in the power of your words and your tongue. So if you're constantly hanging around people who are like, I want to grow, or you're constantly hanging around people, I want to go do this, or I want to do this, like that's what you navigate towards. And so just, I mean, friendships are like a complicated thing sometimes because it's like I'm only friends with that person because of her. So it's difficult sometimes to really like choose. But when you find those people who are like, hey, what's God speaking to you? Or how are you doing? Like, how's your dad doing? Your mom? Like, how can I like help you grow? That's like when your whole perspective changes because you're no longer so focused on like not negative things, but you're not focused on like outward things, but your relationship with that person, your friendship with that person becomes something that's more intimate, like something like more personal, and you don't just feel like another item, like another person. And so I think that's so important with friendships. It's like be with someone or be friends with someone who's going to speak into your life, not tear you down or lead you down the wrong road.
And I think too, for me, I think one of the biggest things when it comes to friendship is this one word, and this word is trust. Right? Like Drake said it, trust issues. And sometimes I feel like when I walk into friendships, I'm like,
shout out to Drake.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're listening to this, Drake,
you're welcome. I taught you how to rap. No, I'm kidding.
JK,
I didn't. No, but the reality is I think for me, one of the biggest things is, do I trust this person enough? Am I going to go deeper with this person? Or is it surface level? And I think for me, that I'm learning, because I'm not there yet, thank God, is that I'm not going to be able to know if I can trust that person if I never trust that person. Do you know what I mean? So sometimes for me, it's like, okay, I'm just going to take a step and I'm going to trust you because people seem to like you and I've heard you before and you seem like a trustworthy person. But man, I think community is so good. Hey, listen, we're going to wrap this up, but we always do this before we wrap up. It's 30 seconds. You've got 30 more seconds to tell us one advice that you feel to conclude, okay? So as always, we're just going to start with Aaron. You've got 30 seconds to tell us something that you would, it's like your last 2 cents.
Got it. So I'll keep it pretty...
in 30 seconds?
Relevant, yes. 30 second, a 30
right
second
there.
relevant point, okay?
That's about 15 right there.
No.
To this topic of relationships and things like that, I would just say, for any young person out there, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to goof up.
Oh, that's good.
Don't be afraid to make mistakes. You know what I mean? Because if there's anything, like as important as Nicole just said, trust, it takes time. It takes time. Don't feel like you got to get it on the first one.
Yeah.
Don't feel like you got to get it in the first week with a friendship or, you know, an intimate relationship.
Yeah.
Don't feel like that. There's time that's to be invested in these things. So
that's good.
Yeah. My thing I shared, just like Aaron took my point, is don't feel pressured. I know, of course, we just said that these people are going to be speaking into your life. You know, the person that you choose to engage yourself with, you know, it's a deep emotional connection, but don't feel pressured by that. Because like you said, like it can be as simple, I think you said this in last podcast, as, hey Nate, can you give me like a Sprite on the way?
Yeah, that's good.
You know, it's so these little things that you may just be like, oh, you know, everybody does it.
Yeah.
But really and truly, when you stop and think, it's like, that is Nicole trusting me. Or that is Aaron. I would just be like, yo, Aaron, can you like just tie my shoe? I got my hands full. I'm
with Nicole's
that's
Sprite.
a level of trust.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
I
I mean, and then for him to be like humble enough and cool enough to be like, oh yeah, bro, I got you right away. That's where you see that trust and that friendship right there.
Yeah,
that's good. Destiny.
So once again, so good.
We should start with you next time.
We'll see.
Sorry.
I was just saying, like, something just like that I live by is just know your worth. Like, if you're in, like, an abusive or, like, a not good relationship, you'll know that you're not supposed to be in there, and you'll know because those people can't hold your Sprite or, you know, can't tie your shoes. Like, simple things. Like, honestly, like, it's the little victories that lead to the big ones. It's the little things that you notice that can show you, hey, is this good? Hey, is this not?
Yeah.
So yeah, don't feel pressured, like going into a relationship, going to trust someone, because there's been multiple times where I've even been let down. But that's where that like, oh, I'm gonna try. Yeah. That's trying is more important than just hiding yourself in a corner and not doing anything.
So good. And you know, I think for me it would just be like get in the community.
Yeah.
Right? Like find somebody who are like-minded. I think it's harder for us to say no to things when everybody else is doing it. Yep. So if everyone's going to that party, it's going to be harder for you to say no because everybody's doing it. But if everybody's going to church, it's going to be hard for you to say no because everybody's doing it. Yeah. So I think just get in a community. Get with people who are like-minded, who love you, who are for you. And I think literally the last thing I would say is be like, encourage people. Yeah. Like celebrate your friends. I feel like we ought to be not selfish to where if our friend has the greatest victory where we're like, bro, I wish I was singing on that stage. But we're like, dude, you killed it today. Yeah. Like encourage, celebrate, and love on people. I think that's it. But man, y'all are awesome. Thank you so much for joining our podcast. I hope that y'all would join us back and come back on The Young. But hey, that concludes our podcast for today. We hope you guys loved it. We can't wait to see you guys next week. Hug a friend, tell them you love them, and we love you. See ya. Bye. She's like, once again.